Welcome back to EDU-Tutor. Today we'll be looking at the private sector and the public sector. Remember, we spoke about the private and the public sector, and we said that every business organization will either exist in the public sector or the private sector. So today we're going to learn about which ones exist in the private sector and which ones exist in the public sector. Now, when we talk about the public sector, we're talking about businesses and organizations owned and operated by the government. So they control the factors of production on behalf of the citizens. Examples of these businesses would include executive agencies, local and municipal authorities, the government departments, schools, and the National Water Commission. What are some advantages of the public sector? So the public sector provides the public with goods that the private sector will not provide. So you will not find the private sector providing the country or the citizens with roads and lights and water, right? And if they do offer it, they would offer it at a higher price, right? Now, the government provides welfare services to poorer members of the society, such as PATH. The government also sets control mechanisms in place for the conduct of business. Disadvantages of the public sector is that the government can increase tax to finance expenditure. So remember that we pay taxes, and the tax that we pay is used to pay or to run the public sector. So it provides us with education, it provides us with road, it pays the public sector workers, right? Another disadvantage of the public sector is inefficient use of state resources. So sometimes the resources that are owned by the country are not used properly. And then the last one is political interference in private sector. So sometimes a government will interfere too much in the private sector. Let us now look at the private sector. So the private sector is a part of the country's economic system that is run by private individuals and companies rather than a government entity. Most private sector organizations are run with the intention of making a profit. So that is the goal of the private sector. What are some advantages of the private sector? The private sector brings more competition and product variety to the market. So there are persons who are offering the same product. So what they will have to do is to improve the quality of the product that they're offering, and that will create competition among each other, right? Another advantage is increased use of technology. The private sector uses technology so that they can produce more and so that they can produce goods of a better quality. And if they're offering services, they also use technology to ensure that their quality of service is better than their competitors. Another advantage of the private sector is that it provides investment and employment. So most persons are employed by the private sector. Disadvantages of the private sector is that citizens have to pay for services provided. So, unlike the public sector, where the prices, if they pay, would be low, the private sector has the right to set their price for the goods and services. And it engages in the production of demerit goods once there is demand. So, you will ask, what is a demerit good? A demerit good is a product or service that can be harmful to individuals or to the society on a whole, but that is usually consumed on a large quantity, right? So it is usually consumed in a large amount. And that is because it people usually ignore the negative effect of it. So if you can think of some of them, you would think about cigarettes, alcohol, junk food, or some types of drugs, which are usually illegal. All right, so that is the difference between the public and the private sector. We also have a table that we're going to be discussing. So when you compare the private sector and the public sector based on ownership and control, you will notice that private citizens and firms own the private sector. So they have to purchase shares in the company to be called owners in the private sector. While in the public sector, the state, national or local government, or the municipalities will own and operate the businesses. But the businesses are generally owned by the taxpayers. The objective of the private sector is to make a profit, while the objective of the public sector is to provide essential goods and services to the country. Where does the private sector get capital from? The private sector gets capital from private individuals who choose to buy shares. They can also get it from loans from banks, friends, credit unions, family members, and personal savings. The public sector gets capital from taxes, rates, levies, and statutory deductions. They can also get loans from the government or institutions. So, thank you for watching. I hope you understand the difference between the public and the private sector, and you can continue to watch the videos in this playlist so that you can understand the different types of business organizations. Bye.